Whaley here from Kurzweil Education. I'm Corey, General Manager at Kurzweil Education, and Scott's topic is stay organized and on track. And I'll be monitoring the questions throughout this. And Scott, if you'd like to take it away, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody taking the time to join us today. Again, my name is Scott Whaley. I represent and work with the states of Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. So if you do have questions in any one of those states, you can reach out to me directly. And as Corey mentioned, we'll be reaching out to answer your questions in real time here. If there's something that needs a little bit more of an in-depth response, we'll hand that out to your respective representative to follow up with you, and they can give you the type of attention that your question needs. I was a teacher for 6 years. If you heard Corey and I yammering at the beginning of this, I taught junior high and high school before moving over and getting into online education and software to help educators. So today, what we're going to be looking at is tips to stay focused and on track. I have a son who is going into middle school next year. He has an IEP that we look to follow, and we've been using Kurzweil to help him stay on task. So this is kind of just going through a simple lesson and some of the tips and tricks to keep you organized. And it's a little more of a systematic approach to making sure you look at each lesson in a similar way. So hopefully everybody can see my screen right now. I'm in the Universal Library, and I'm going to go into my private folder. I saved a document here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up that document. So that's going to take just a moment to load. I opened up The People That Time Forgot by Edgar Rice Burroughs. One of the things that I always tell my son, when we get started, if this is a little bit hard to read or you don't like it in a particular font, that can always change. So for consistency, and again, Kurzweil operates with a lot of the shortcuts that you would use in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to hit Control A. All right. So I'm going to highlight all of the text, and I'm going to change it into a different font. That's going to make it a little bit easier for me to read. I'm going to use the Open Dyslexic font, which is really beneficial for struggling readers because it weights the letters, gives them a little more substance to make it a little bit easier for individuals that may have tracking issues to follow along and focus on the letters as they're going through. So I changed it to the Open Dyslexic font. You can see that the letters look a little bit different than they did before. Also changed the font size to make that easier for me to follow as well. And I'm going to make it a 16 size font. Like I said, it's going to take just a second to catch up. All right. So now I can actually track this information a little bit easier. Okay. So moving forward, I can read this on my own. It just makes it a little bit easier to go ahead and help with my own reading, to put it into a text, a script that I like, a font that I like, and then have the font size something that's manageable where I'm not straining my eyes. So every time I have my son log into something, I make sure he gets it into the right kind of format for him where he's not bogged down in the minutia of what's going on in front of him. Okay, so that's the first thing that we end up going. If you don't like the white, it ends up getting hard on your eyes. The other thing that you can do is put it into a dark mode, make those letters a little more salient. They'll pop out in the white. If you like that dark mode, then we do have that available as well. But again, it's just making sure that you are comfortable with the format of what's going on and eliminating that hurdle. So now that I'm going through, I'm here. What we will often do, we'll get that to a spot where we're going to start. And The audio options, I know this has been gone over a few times already, but making sure that you have the voice options where you would like them. Again, it helps individuals track a little bit easier. I like it with a British accent, so I use Peter, and I'm going to have it read a little bit slower, and I'm going to have it just focus on the sentences and go in continuous, where I'm going to work on my automaticity to end up tracking along with this to help reduce that fatigue, help me read at a little bit faster clip potentially than I'm used to reading. So if I put it here, I'm going to go ahead and have it. All right. So again, it's going to highlight each sentence, and it's going to end up highlighting the word that we are on. That seemed a little bit slow, so I'm going to speed that back up just a little bit. And I'm going to try it again. Okay. All right. So one of the things that my son often ends up having a tough time with as he's going through is following along and then finding main ideas. The highlighters over here are very, very helpful for tracking main ideas. And as they keep going down, they'll end up providing subpoints as you're going through. So the yellow is going to end up being my main idea as I'm going through. So if I put something in a yellow highlighter, then if I find that, let's see here, he was a most notorious practical joker. All right, excellent. So I have that as a main idea. Now, as I go through and I'm starting to find these ideas, one of the easiest things to end up doing is getting lost in this text to find out where I am. Okay, so I'm selecting main ideas. I'm wondering what that's going to end up looking like later. I can end up coming through and splitting the screen. I can have my text over on one side, and I can have the notes and everything that I'm going to start extracting over here coming up on the left. All right, I can start working on my my outline as I'm reading the text. So that's one of the big things that has been helpful for my son coming through here. He's able to work on the actual reading component of this, and then I actually work on the writing at the same time. So very, very simple, just using the split screen idea and keeping him on task as he's moving along with the actual reading. So, and I can have it go in an outline. I can, do various other additional options here, but what has been very helpful for him is to read and work an outline in a similar fashion. And again, as we're moving through, just focus on what it is that I'm seeing in front of me, and then keeping track of what it is that I'm going to be required later on as well.
Scott, I just want to interject.
Yes.
Could you, there was a question about the split screen button. Could you just hover over that so that people can see the different options there? Yeah. Thanks.
In the upper right-hand corner, sorry, I didn't explain that clearly. In the upper right-hand corner, you have various views that are available. So I ended up coming over here to split screen, okay? And so as soon as you hit the split screen, it's going to bring this out. And now I can have, my text, and I can have my outline going at the same time. And that would be just one of the ways that ends up making it a little bit easier to track the assignment as you're going through. Additionally, as we're going through, we do have some tools over here. So if I need help with spell checking, or, as we're going through, we have word prediction, where it'll start providing a word kind of like it does on your cell phone, where it'll start trying to fill in words as you're typing them out. Right? So we're just trying to provide a little bit of a system, a little bit of a framework to help with an assignment to keep that individual on track as they're moving through. He's found it very, very helpful to work in this environment just to keep him on track. And from there, most of the work is done. So if he's working on an essay, a rebuttal, or, comparison, contrast, as he's reading through, he has the work that he's generating over here. He'll have that outline, and then he can end up moving over into the writing section once he's completed that outline, taking that and then working on an actual essay. So it's a really simple way to end up keeping that student organized. You don't have to go back and forth. I know a lot of the issue ends up coming from reading something, turning over and going into a different tab, maybe opening up a different application, writing something else down, and you just get lost in the tracking. So this is a very simple way to keep yourself on target with not only the reading, but you can help complete it with the writing piece at the same time.
Well, thank you all very much. You will be getting this recording. And if you want to dive deeper, then your rep will be contacting you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining.